Scottie Maurice Pippen. To many people, he's the greatest Robin to ever play in the NBA, and others don't even think that title is positive enough, as they claim that the Bulls dynasty was more of a Superman and Batman type of dominance. When you look at the Bulls' 6 championships in 8 years, there's no question that Scottie was an integral part of their success, and that there's absolutely no way Jordan's legacy is what it is today without his 6'7" wingman by his side. But the thing that's often forgotten, overlooked, or just never realized is that Pippen had a lot of legacy-defining moments after Michael Jordan retired from the Bulls in 1998, and I think the twilight of his career is significantly more fascinating than most people realize. After the Bulls had their last dance season, winning their 6th championship ring in franchise history, general management was determined to head in another direction and prove that they could rebuild the organization into a younger championship contender. As a result, Phil Jackson was given the door, Michael Jordan retired, and a 33-year-old Scottie Pippen was traded to the Houston Rockets in exchange for Roy Rogers and a 2nd-round draft pick. In hindsight, this was one of the worst trades in Bulls history, as Rogers and the 2nd-round draft pick never amounted to much of anything. On the other hand, Pippen was heading to Houston, where he was joining a starting lineup that included Hakeem Olajuwon and Charles Barkley. Now sure, when you look at an image of these 3 legends in the same uniform, it certainly looks like a super team. But before you completely jump to that conclusion, it's important to know the context of that situation. Charles Barkley was 35 years old and was not in the shape that he once was. Hakeem Olajuwon was nowhere close to his peak form, as he was 36 years old and had only played 47 games in the previous season due to injuries. Before Pippen joined, the Barkley, Drexler, and Olajuwon-led Rockets only had a 41-41 record in the 97-98 season, and they were eliminated out of the first round of the playoffs. Hypothetically, at an earlier time, a trio of Barkley, Olajuwon, and Pippen may have been one of the greatest teams of all time. But at this point, Pippen was basically joining a retirement home for NBA superstars. The 98-99 season was also a lockout-shortened season, with what I believe was the most grueling schedule in league history. Because the league took so long to agree upon a collective bargaining agreement, regular season games didn't start until February 5th of 1999. This meant that teams had to play 50 games in just 90 days. Quite often, teams had to play games on back-to-back-to-back nights. At one point, Houston had played 9 games in just 13 days. This non-stop schedule was going to be especially brutal on an older team like the Houston Rockets. With that being said, the Stars put in their best efforts, as Pippen and Olajuwon played all 50 games, and Barkley played 40 out of the 50 games. Throughout the regular season, Pippen averaged 14.5 points, 6.5 rebounds, 5.9 assists, and 2 steals on 43.2% shooting, which was reduced numbers from his previous season in Chicago. But some of that may have been because of the fact that he had to share the ball with more offensively minded stars in Houston. He provided the team some fast break basketball and was the anchor of the squad's perimeter defense, which is why he earned a first-team All-Defense selection. The Rockets finished the regular season with a 31-19 record, securing the 5th seed in the Western Conference playoffs. In the first round, they were going up against a much younger Lakers team, led by Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. This is where things first got weird for Scottie's career after Jordan. In this specific series, Scottie likely had the worst playoff game of his career and the best playoff game of his career. Houston narrowly lost Game 1 with a final score of 101-100, but Pippen did his part, putting up 14 points, 10 rebounds, and 8 assists. But in Game 2 in Los Angeles, the Lakers were on fire from the field, while Scottie couldn't get anything going, as he scored just 3 points on 0 of 7 shooting from the field. After this performance, the narrative was beginning to swirl in the media that Pippen had reached the end of his productive career. With his abilities in question and in a 0-2 hole against a younger squad, Pippin responded like the proven champion that he is, and in Game 3, he completely took over, as a helpless Kobe Bryant could do nothing to slow him down. Scottie dropped a playoff career high of 37 points and added 13 rebounds and 4 assists on 44.4% shooting, as he played all 48 minutes. He did all of that while a superstar teammate Hakeem Olajuwon only scored 5 points on 2 of 12 shooting. This resulted in a much-needed blowout victory for Houston. But in Game 4, the Lakers handled their business, closing out the series in the 4th game. Scottie attempted to go down fighting, and although he filled up the stat sheet, he didn't do it very efficiently, as he had 19 points, 17 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals, on only 6 of 23 shooting. At the conclusion of that season, a frustrated Scottie requested a trade, and part of that frustration was because of his poor relationship with Charles Barkley behind the scenes. Later on, Barkley expressed his thoughts on Pippen requesting a trade, saying, "For him to want to leave after 1 year, it disappointed me greatly. The Rockets went out of their way to get Scottie, and the fans have treated him well, so I was just disappointed in him." To this, Pippen responded publicly by saying, "I wouldn't give Charles Barkley an apology at gunpoint. He can never expect an apology from me. If anything, he owes me an apology for coming to play with his fat butt."
Well, he said he would never apologize.
Not even at gunpoint.
But as you know, I always carry a gun with me. So there is a chance. There's a chance. I'm gonna go to my truck and get my gun and see. So if I get arrested for murder, y'all know he didn't apologize.
As a result, the Rockets did meet Pippen's request and traded the small forward to the Western Conference contenders, the Portland Trail Blazers. Portland was a very talented yet youthful team that was in desperate need of veteran experience and leadership, and Pippen was seen as the suitor for that role. Due to his increasing age, Scottie's minutes took a significant dip from his season in Houston, but he remained an all-around productive player, as he played all 82 games, averaging 12 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1.4 steals on 45% shooting. He was also honored on the NBA's second all-defensive team. With a well-rounded, remarkably deep roster, the Portland Trail Blazers finished the regular season with a 59-23 record, which was good enough for the second-best record in the entire league, behind only Shaq and Kobe's Lakers. At that time, heading into the playoffs, everyone believed that these two Western Conference powerhouses were on a collision course to meet in the West Finals, but that was yet to be seen. In the first round against Kevin Garnett and the Minnesota Timberwolves, Pippen led his team in points, rebounds, and steals as they comfortably eliminated the Wolves in just 4 games. Then in the semifinals against Stockton and Malone of the Utah Jazz, Pippen led the Blazers in assists and steals, while eliminating the Jazz in just 5 games. Now the stage was set for the Lakers and Blazers, as Pippen was going up against his former championship-winning head coach. At this point in history, the Western Conference was considered to be much stronger than the East, and the belief was that whoever won this series out west would easily go on to prevail as NBA champions in the finals. In Los Angeles, the Lakers convincingly won Game 1, regardless of the fact that Pippen dropped a solid 19, 11, and 5. The Blazers then dominated Game 2 in Staples Center, stealing away home court advantage in the series. And in that game, Pippen dropped 21 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals on 60% shooting. Then stunningly, the Lakers won Games 3 and 4 in Portland, taking a demanding 3-1 lead in the series. Up to that point, no team had ever come back from a 3-1 deficit in the Western Conference Finals, so everyone was basically assuming that this was coronation time for the Lakers. But the Blazers had other plans, and showed their fighting spirit. In a do-or-die 5th game, Pippen showed up with a clutch performance, leading the Blazers in scoring while being a menace defensively. On the night, Pippen dropped 22 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 6 steals, and 4 blocks on 67% shooting, resulting in a 96-88 victory. Then, back in their building for Game 6, the Blazers convincingly controlled the game, forcing a Game 7 in Los Angeles with a final score of 103-93. Under Scottie Pippen's leadership, the Blazers were just one game away from completing one of the greatest comebacks in playoff history, but they were going to have to do it in Los Angeles. The Blazers had the momentum on their side, and that continued after the tip-off of Game 7. For the vast majority of the game, the Blazers seemed to be in complete control, and Staples Center was awfully quiet. At the end of the first quarter, Portland had a 7-point lead, and at the end of the third quarter, that lead had increased to 13. Pippen was having himself a solid game, and through 3 quarters, he had 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists, leading his team in 2 of those stats. But that's when seemingly everything changed. When the fourth quarter began, the Lakers were blistering hot, while the Blazers couldn't buy a bucket. For an 8-minute stretch of the fourth quarter, the Blazers didn't convert a single field goal, missing a total of 13 straight shots. Scottie Pippen specifically had 0 points on 0 of 3 shooting with 3 fouls and 1 turnover. In a quarter, he desperately wishes he could have back. Shaq, Kobe, and the rest of the Lakers had completely stolen the momentum, and the rest was history, as they defeated the Blazers in Game 7, eventually going on to win the NBA championship over the Indiana Pacers. Many people don't realize this, but given the fact that the West was expected to dominate the East, regardless of who the conference winners were, Scottie was basically 1 quarter away from winning another championship ring as the leader of his squad. He was 1 quarter away from defeating Phil Jackson and surpassing Michael Jordan in the championship ring count. Unfortunately, this was Pippen's last real shot at an additional championship ring, as his Blazers were swept out of the first round of the playoffs in the next 2 seasons by the clearly superior Lakers team, meaning that Pippen was eliminated by the Lakers in 4 straight seasons. At the end of the day, Scottie Pippen is much more than simply a sidekick to Michael Jordan. But when we look at his career post-Jordan, we see that he had one of the weirder rollercoaster finales of an NBA Hall of Famer, as it included drama, remarkable highs, and some terrible, remarkable lows. So what do you guys think? What is Scottie Pippen without Michael Jordan? I look forward to hearing that in your own words in the comments section below. Thanks for watching as always. Make sure to like and subscribe for more basketball content, and I'll see you guys in the next video.